Hello and welcome guys to this discussion on economics pattern discussion for UPSC. So recently what we have seen is the UPSC has changed its approach, and the problem that we are seeing is that the students have not changed their approach. So in this session we will tell you what are the various focus areas that you need to focus, what are the expected questions, what are the various themes that are asked, and we will also tell you how you can prepare for those themes. And what are the strategies that you can implement? Let's start with this discussion. So, first and foremost, why should you even listen to us? There are many such videos out there who talk about how should you prepare. But it is only we that we can claim our authenticity by the fact that our strike rate is 70% in this year's prelims. Of all the things that were taught in the class, 70% questions in prelims, economics prelims, were from our classes. I'm not even talking about all the material. I'm not talking about material, prelims, test series, not all of that. I'm talking about only two sources: our class notes and current affairs classes. Only from these sources we were able to hit 70% questions, and class notes and the classes, they were hardly 100 to 120 hours, which is a very good strike rate, and which brings me to our next thing, because we can triple your efficiency by 1/3 in your efforts. We will 1/3 your efforts and we will triple your efficiency. And how do we do that? Just a simple calculation. How much time does it take for you to solve one question in prelims? So in prelims, so 365 days. If you study for around 8 hours per day, this comes around 2500 hours. Of these 2500 hours, you will use these 2500 hours to crack 50 questions. 50 questions in prelims, which means each question, okay, for each question, you require to give how much time? Around 50 hours. For each question, you are expected to study for 50 hours. That is the whole calculation of UPSC. And how do we do that? Which means in 100 hours, you will be able to solve hardly 2 questions. However, what did we do? What do we achieve year after year? We achieved around 10 to 12 questions in economics. We achieved in 100 to 120 hours, which means what you could have achieved in 100 hours, 2 questions, we did almost 10 questions, almost 5 times the efficiency, but we will undercommit. We rather believe in undercommitting and overcommitting and over-delivering. We believe in undercommitting and over-delivering, which is why we are committing triple the efficiency. We are 5 times the efficiency. Now see, which guarantees 100% results. I hope this was clear to you. Now, next point. What is the agenda for today? Today, we will be talking about how should you approach economics for UPSC, then what is the recent pattern shift, and then why solving PYQs is very important. Do not think that PYQs have already come, so now they are of no importance. That is a fallacy, and do not fall into that trap. And then obviously, after seeing the importance of PYQs, we will see what are the various sources, and the most important part, how can we help you? Starting on. First thing, how do you even approach economics? The first and the foremost question that you guys feel is, why economics feels tough, but it is actually very scoring. And that is what I want to explain, at least a part of it, in this session. And then how each stage tests you. What are the different aptitudes that are tested in different stages, and then what are the topics broadly. Now see, first thing first, why do you think that this is very tough? It is because of a very important statement that you guys say, I don't have a background. This is one thing that you cry every time about. I don't have a background, that is why I don't study economics. What was your background? History. But then you forget, same statement will be applicable to almost all the subjects, because your background will help you only in one of the subjects. If it's history, it will help you in history. What about geography, polity, environment, S&T? If your background is geography, it will help you in geography. What about others? If it is political science, it will help you in politics and IR. But what about others? If your background is commerce, obviously it will help you in economics. But what about others? So first and foremost thing is, do not let this statement bog you down that you do not have a background, because your background is immaterial, especially if you are an engineer. Why? Your background is immaterial, especially if you are an engineer. Why is that? That is because if you are an engineer, that will help you in the entire preparation in one chapter of whole subject S&T. In one chapter it will help you, either space technology or biotechnology or electronics. That is the IT. So your background is immaterial. That is why even UPSC has not kept any such criteria. As long as you are a graduate, you can give this exam. And that is what is the preparation also that we do. And that is our approach in the classroom as well. We try and we succeed in mixing the basic to an advanced level student. And that is what is our commitment. That is what we have been delivering year after year. And that is obviously what we'll continue to do. Now, so then UPSC does not test how much jargon you know. It tests how much well you understand. So for example, whether it's how inflation affects your grocery bill. If inflation is there, if the inflation is 6%, which means the prices of goods and commodities are rising by 6% and your FD return is 5%. सुना होगा ये लाइन, बहुत चलती है इंस्टाग्राम पे. अगर आपका इन्फ्लेशन चल रहा है 6%, which means the prices of goods and services are rising by 6%, but the FD return is 5%, are you gaining money or are you losing money? You are losing money. How are you losing money? Because the 100 rupees after 1 year will become 105, but if this good was 100 rupees today, next year it will become 106. So that is the application that UPSC is looking for. And as long as you know 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, you have sufficient intelligence to study economics. And anyway, why do I say that? Because even when we will study economics, we will not go through mathematics. Economics is to be studied through language. We will study economics through language. We do not even use much graphs, because graphs do confuse you and UPSC does not ask graphs. So why do we even go through that? So for example, you must have heard about something called as law of demand and supply. For this law of demand and supply, you will often see a curve. They will say quantity and then price, and beautifully they'll make an equilibrium. But in the examination hall, you do not have the time to plot all of this. In the examination hall, you need a different approach. And how do you get that different approach? By learning in a way that the examiner is going to ask. For example, when we talk about if demand for something is more, the price will be high. At the same time, if supply of something is more, the price will decrease. And how do we learn this? याद करो अपना कॉलेज का टाइम. कॉलेज में क्या बोलते थे? यार उसको बहुत भाव मिल रहा है आजकल, उसके भाव बढ़े हुए हैं. That fellow is too much in demand. He or she is out of your reach. If demand is very high, price is very high. If supply is very high, price is very less. I have started talking too much to this fellow. I think my value has gone down. यार मैंने इसको बहुत भाव देना स्टार्ट कर दिया है, मेरी वैल्यू कम हो गई है. तो मुझे अपने वैल्यू बढ़ाने के लिए क्या करना होगा? सप्लाई रोकना पड़ेगा. If supply increases, prices will go down. If supply decreases, prices will go up. Simply समझना है, simply समझना है, और इसी को अप्लाई कर देना है फटाक से करेंसी में. कैसे? ये समझ लो, ये है यूएसडी और रुपी. अगर रुपी की सप्लाई बढ़ी तो रुपी की वैल्यू क्या होगी? कम होगी. मतलब अगर इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने ज्यादा रुपी प्रिंट किया तो रुपी विल डेप्रिशिएट. That is the simple understanding that you need to have. Got it? So please do not think that since you do not have a background, economics is going to be difficult for you. It is not like that. It is about how you learn it. If you try to learn it through maths, it can be a little difficult. But if you try to learn it through language and through common sense, it's going to be very easy. And that is what we try here as well. We bring everything down to basics and we build up everything from there. Just like you learned that printing more money can depreciate a currency. मजाक मजाक में concept सीख लिया, आगे चलते हैं. Then, what does each stage test you? See, each stage has a different acumen that it is testing. So, for example, prelims, initially it used to test the facts. What is CRR, cash reserve ratio, what is what are the components of WPI. Now, it takes about application. So, from definition, it has again gone to application. Now, prelims asks your conceptual clarity. From what all these instruments will an expansionist policy be impacted? If you increase CRR, if you increase RRR, not the song, not the movie, reverse repo rate. If you increase that, what will be the impact on liquidity? That are the types of questions that the UPSC now asks. And even in the definition, initially it used to ask what is inclusive growth. Now it gives you statement and asks your application. Inclusive growth reduces disparities. Explain. This was simple. A similar question was there. This is not verbatim. I am quoting the theme. Then see. So this is what they test. Then now, how should you study? What should be your stage-wise preparation? See, when you start studying economics, first of all, the basic thing is study 11th and 12th NCRTs and then study any standard book. Any standard book that the Google or your ChatGPT tells you, study it. Any, but only one. Why do I say that? Any? Because essentially everybody has copied from everybody and they are within their rights to do that. Nobody can create new content. The content has already been there. It's about with which book you feel more connected to. If you think that a particular book's font and categorization is okay, I will read this. So, for example, you may look at an index and it may have only 14 chapters. At the same time, there may be some book which may have 36 chapters. So, which one is better? Tell me. Both are same because in 14 chapter book, there will be many subparts. This fellow must have only created new chapters out of those subparts. Essentially, everybody has to cover everything. So, it is only about the packaging, which is why choose whichever notebook you think is good for you. All the notebooks are okay, but read anyone. After that, you need to learn these terms by linking to newspaper. Current affairs is very, very important, guys. So, you need to learn these terms. Hiking the petrol prices. Why are the petrol prices getting hiked despite the global prices being low? You need to know about the excise duty. You need to know about how is GST getting implemented. What are the issues that the government and the citizens are facing in GST. Then focus on analytical MCQs and economic implications of the policy. Here, obviously, IASbaba is going to help you out with our content team. We do post out multiple free materials. You're obviously free to check them out. Then track economic survey and monthly updates. So all of these, this is the stage wise that you need to build yourself. Then see, now what are the various topics? Broadly, economics can be differentiated into 10 topics, variedly. All the topics will fall in some or the other topic. Capital market, stock market, government securities in financial market, economic planning, LPG reforms in the planning, industry, make in India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, all of it will fall here. Inclusive growth, sustainable development goals, employment, Skill India, etc. All of it will fall here. International trade will fall here. Taxation, budget and fiscal policy, inflation, and obviously monetary policy and banking. So all these things are covered. Obviously, these are covered in detail in your classes, and as well as they will be covered in your material as well. And if you are preparing by yourself, you need to take care of these topics. Just try to categorize whatever topics you are reading in the newspaper with the commensurate topic that you would have had read in your standard book, following whichever chapter is there. I hope that is clear. Then see, next agenda is what is the recent pattern shift. Now see, recently what we are seeing, there are 4 shifts that we have analyzed. 4 shifts we have analyzed. What are the 4 shifts? First is that the question format has changed. Question format has changed. So initially, in the very initial years, the questions used to be direct. They will give you a question, then they'll give you the options. Then came the statement-based questions, wherein you have to settle 1, 2, and 3 multiple choice options. Recently, what we have started seeing, that since through this, everybody started using something called as elimination. Everybody started using something called as the elimination technique. So what did UPSC do? UPSC changed the asking pattern 2 years back. Now, initially, few of the options could have gotten eliminated if you have seen that one statement is wrong. But now that you cannot do anymore, because now the statement is how many are correct? 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is correct, or all are correct. And these are not options. They will give you 1, 2, 3, 4 options, and they will ask you of these 4 how many are correct. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, 3 is correct, which means now you have to be sure which statement is correct and which statement is incorrect for you to mark the right answer. I hope that is clear. And in mains, what we are seeing, in mains also we are seeing that it is they are largely using do you agree type of statement. So for example, in 2019 they asked an application based question, do you agree that low inflation has left Indian economy in good shape? Obviously, you had to bring out the application based concept of inflation and growth interest rate conundrum. So that is how the questions are changing. Then see, increasingly the questions across economy are becoming interdisciplinary. This interdisciplinary word you would have heard at many places, but still let me show you how is it becoming interdisciplinary. So for example, in 2020, microfinance, this is from money and banking chapter, but in which subject was it asked? GS1. Economics is in GS3. Economics is in GS3. But why is economics important? Because the questions will be asked in other papers as well. That is why it is important. At the same time, so they linked microfinance with self-help groups. They linked economy with social justice. Then they also linked pattern of public expenditure on social services. Similarly, they can ask, in fact, this year it is probable that they may ask about either gender budgeting, once they've already asked about it, or they may ask about green budgeting. This we are expecting in 2025 mains. So in 2025 mains, these can be the topics. I hope this is clear. Then let's see. New themes and emerging topics are also getting the increased focus. So for example, if at all you are listening something about cryptocurrency, even if you don't understand cryptocurrency, does not mean UPSC will not answer questions. What is cryptocurrency? How does it affect global society? Has it been affecting Indian society also? Cryptocurrency in society. Interdisciplinary Ultra Pro Max. This is Interdisciplinary Ultra Pro Max. Cryptocurrency and Indian society. That is why you need to have an application-based approach. You cannot simply know what is cryptocurrency and what is the regulation. You need to know how is it impacting the global economic system, how is it impacting the society, and for that, you need to know about the basics. And for that, you need to know that cryptocurrency, at its very core, it started with the need to democratize the modern monetary system. What is the modern monetary system? In 2008, when the governments print so much money, who has the entire control? The governments have the entire control. And the argument of blockchain, or the argument of the Bitcoin creator, was that I want to create a monetary system in which single authority will not have control, all the authorities will have control, which is why no new Bitcoin can be created unless all the other nodes on the blockchain agree about it. Got it? And that was one of the ways that you were supposed to answer this question. Then see, obviously, this is something that anyway I hope you would have heard somewhere, and I truly believe that you do understand it, that current affairs is becoming very, very important. Whatever is happening is being asked immediately. In 2022, Russia-Ukraine crisis. 2023, from being a net food importer in 1960s, India has emerged as a net food exporter. And which paper? GS1. 2023, this 2024, this is 2024. What is the need for expanding the regional air connectivity in India? And they asked about the achievements of Udan scheme. सपना नहीं आता है ये सारी चीजें current affairs में आपको update करनी पड़ती हैं. And इतनी सारी schemes I won't blame you if you don't know about these schemes. But the fact of the matter is you have to make an educated guess, and you have to read some or the other things. And that is what we teach in our classes as well. What are the minimum things expected from you? And then obviously if you read above it, it's up to you. But there are certain minimum things that you are expected to do, guys. Then see, next agenda. Why is solving PYQs so important? See, PYQ solving is like training for an Olympic event. There are two ways. You are on a journey. In journey, there are two very important things. One is whether the destination is correct. Other is whether the path is correct. Google Map में जब destination डालते हो तो यही दो चीजें तो देखते हो ना. You figure out these two things when you put a destination in a Google Map, whether the destination is correct and whether the path that you are following is correct. How do you get to know whether the path that you are following in UPSC preparation is right? You get that by solving PYQs. If you are able to solve PYQs, you are headed on the right path. And if you are not able to solve PYQs, there is some problem with the way you are preparing. However, PYQs are not only for your understanding of the pattern. PYQs do not only have a retrospective implication, they have a prospective implication as well. And why is that? It's because almost every year, one or the other theme is repeated. For example, 2014, they asked about current account surplus. Again in 2020, they asked about current account. In 2011, they asked about WPI. Again, 2021, they asked about WPI. 23, monetary policy in non-monetary instruments. Again, 2020. 2015, WTO agriculture. 2013, WTO agriculture, public stock holding. So, if you study the PYQs only, even then you can easily score around 25% questions in prelims. Which means 25% questions, which means 50% of all the questions that you need to solve are already been asked by UPSC. How did I say that? What did I say? 50% of all the questions that you need to get right in prelims are already asked by UPSC previously. 25 questions are going to get repeated. How many questions do you need to get right in order to clear prelims? Around 50. Let's suppose 50 questions you need to get right, and of that 25 questions are going to be from PYQs. That is why PYQs are so important, guys. Not only for economics, but for the entire preparation. I hope that point is clear, guys. Then, Even in the mains, in fact, in mains, the themes are repeated consistently. Consistently, the themes are repeated. For example, 2016 FRBM, again 2023 FRBM Act was asked. 2015 labor force participation, jobless growth, again jobless growth related formalization of employment generation. Then impact of digitization, 2017, again digital economy. 2017, why demonetization? So I hope you understand skill development, skill development. The themes are repeated consistently. It will be a blunder for you to not focus on previous year's questions. Then see, so why should you study previous year's questions? Because repeated theme, it helps you recognize them. Then it helps you master UPSC's question style. When you master the PYQs, everything that you read automatically gets structured in your mind according to how it can ask in UPSC. And that is an important training that you need to do of your mind. Then see, and it helps you avoid traps by knowing what UPSC tests every year. Then see, next agenda, what are the various sources? We are up to the second last agenda. What are the various sources that you should study regarding economics? So obviously, you should first study the theory. After theory, you should first solve previous year's questions. Then current affairs, updates, and then you should solve practice questions. Now, practice questions, where will you get? You do any 2 coaching institutes, and I realize this, that I'm on a particular coaching platform. You do one from IASbaba. We have a very good content team here, and you do it from any other institute. Why? Because the one that you have grass is always greener on the other side. The one that you have, you will never like it. If we give you IASbaba, you will like someone else. If someone else take that, they will like IASbaba. Such is the human mind. So you take that IASbaba, and then online everything is available for free anyway. You take any material which you think that yes, मेरी जिंदगी में अगर किसी चीज की कमी थी तो इसी की थी. तुम आ गए हो, करार आ गया है. तुम्हारी ही कमी थी मेरे जीवन में. नतमस्तक होके साष्टांग दंडवत करके भैया पढ़ लो. Do from any material, but you read it. Now, why are practice questions important? After PYQs. PYQs will tell you whether you are headed on the right path. But what is the destination? Will tell you the practice questions. Practice questions will tell you what is the destination that you are supposed to go. And that is valid for every subject. However, the part does not end here. Here, you have to come back to theory. क्योंकि आप आइंस्टाइन की औलाद तो है नहीं, और पहली स्लाइड अगर याद हो, बैकग्राउंड तो है नहीं, रोएंगे है ही. भैया प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चन सारे सॉल्व नहीं होंगे आपसे. क्यों? क्योंकि अभी स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं. So when you will not be able to solve practice questions, you're not supposed to leave it there. You're supposed to come back to the theory. Again, see previous year questions, current affair updates, and the practice question, guys. This cycle has to repeat. It is this virtuous cycle that will lead you to your goal. I hope it is clear, guys. Then the last part of today's discussion, guys. How can we help you? See, structural approach is the most important approach. I hope you remember from the previous or the first slide, 70% accuracy combined with 3 times efficiency gives you 100% results. But still, even after giving you everything, we will give you what? We will give you time-bound completion. We will give you structural approach. We will give you current affairs updates. We will give you tests. And we will give you mentorship. But despite this giving you 80%, it is the 20% that you are going to study that is going to make all the difference, guys. So with that said, I hope you got some key takeaways from this session. I hope you have some idea about how the pattern is. I hope you know what is expected of you. I wish you all the best, guys, and we'll meet in some other session. Thank you so much.